Today we have the head coach of Seton Hill University, Marc Marizzaldi. Marc, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mick. How are you doing?
Quick background about Marc. He actually took over at Seton Hill 17 years ago in 2004. Today, where this year would have been his 17th season. Through this time, he has a 562 wins and 304 losses as his coaching career record. Five-time conference coach of the year, two-time regional coach of the year. They have 4 conference championships and 2 national NCAA national championship appearances in that tournament out there. So he's basically built that program from the ground up, and it's an honor to have you on, Marc.
I'm happy to be here. Obviously, I have some ties to the Fennell family going back all the way to my high school days, and it's really cool to see you guys get your facility and now your social media presence up and running, and I'm excited to be here with you today.
We'll get right into it here. First question is going to be kind of just a little bit about yourself, about your story. I think it's important to hear, or the young listeners to hear, that everybody has a different story to where they get to today and how they stayed within the sport of baseball. So just kind of wanted to start with that is, at a young age, did you know you love this sport? And if you didn't go as far as you could playing wise, you knew you wanted to stay within the sport in some aspect?
Yeah, like most guys, I fell in love with the game at a young age, probably in Little League. I probably dedicated as much, if not more time to basketball growing up than baseball. In high school, I played both sports, basketball and baseball. So I actually had a really good academic scholarship to Duquesne University. So I chose to go there and play baseball. The opportunity to play Division I baseball was a really cool one. I actually, my junior year, I was injured. Basically got to that point in my career where I had to face surgery. And at that same time that it was either surgery and go through the year rehab to come back, I was offered a job to coach at Baldwin High School when I was still a junior in college. So I was a head freshman coach there in 1997. The next year I coached the JV team. And then the following year I coached the high school team, which I think was in 99. And I also took over the Baldwin Legion team at that point too. So it was one of those things where my playing career came to a little bit earlier ending than I wanted because of injury. And at that same point in time, an opportunity was presented to me to coach by one of the former coaches at Baldwin, Mike DeLucia. So, I kind of took the coaching gig in high school just to stay connected to the game. But after doing it for a couple of years, my competitiveness really drove me to try to make a career out of it. So after I graduated college, I continued to coach the Legion team, and I applied for literally every grad assistant job in the country. I knew I wanted to get my master's degree and continue my education, and if I could do it through the sport of baseball, that'd be great. That's a lot harder than it sounds. I literally must have sent out over 100 applications in about 12 months. And finally, I got a call from John Weber, who was the head coach at Lakeland College. It's a small Division III school in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. And I did 2 phone interviews, and he offered me the pitching coach job. Never saw the school, nothing, just packed my car and drove to Wisconsin like 2 days later. That was in August of 99. It changed my life. That was the best decision I ever made. It helped propel my coaching career. I met my wife there. And it was just an awesome experience, kind of getting outside of your comfort zone and living somewhere you've never lived before. So I was the pitching coach for 2 years at Lakeland College, was part of sort of a rebuild process there at Lakeland. The year after I left, they went to the World Series. But I'd left Lakeland, finished my master's degree, came back, and actually got the head assistant job at Duquesne under my former coach there, Mike Wilson. So I coached at Division I level for 2 years, mainly at Lakeland. I was a pitching coach, but at Duquesne, I handled all the defense, the catching, the infield, the outfield, which was really good. It allowed me to kind of expand my knowledge, because if you want to be a head coach someday, you really got to dive into everything at some point. So I was coaching at Duquesne for a couple of years, and Seton Hill, which at the time had been an all-girls school, decided to expand their enrollment. And the best way to do that is through adding male sports teams. So I took the job at Seton Hill in January of 2003. So we only had that one spring to recruit an entire team.
Oh, wow.
So, but
So Seton Hill's only ever had one coach. That's you.
yeah,
Wow.
I
I didn't
came
know
in
that.
there to start the program in '03. Coming from Duquesne was good because I had been recruiting at Duquesne. So I had at least a good knowledge base of the kids in Western PA. But yeah, we were pretty fortunate. We got some decent athletes that first year, a lot of Whippeal kids. And, we took our lumps for a couple of seasons, but by our third year in '06, things started to click. We went 45-20 and actually got to the NAI World Series. It's been a very slow process to build it to where it is now. We have an unbelievable ballpark. We have a lot of success and traditions and draft picks and all that stuff. But when you kind of trace things back to where it all began, it really started with blue collar kids, guys very much like both of you, Western PA kids that came from good families, that everything they got was earned and they had to work hard for it. Those are the kind of kids that we got, Baldwin, Bethel Park, Butler, those type of guys. They took a chance on Seton Hill, but they created an amazing foundation that we've been able to build upon for the last, 16, 17 years.
I think that's unbelievable, man. With, having as much success as you have now, basically building it from nothing is remarkable, which kind of leads me into my next question. Having coached over 850 games, collegiate level, having 550 plus career wins, I want these viewers, anyone that's listening, tuning in, to kind of take what I'm going to ask you and really, take it to the next level, which is, how do you handle your guys right now during this time off? I know it's a crazy time. What are you guys doing? Do you have, telephone meetings, video conference meetings, whatever it may be? Just explain a little bit what you got going on with your team right now.
This is a challenging time for everybody. Obviously, players, especially seniors, that kind of lost their last year. The first thing I did is I kind of told the guys, you got to have a structure to your life right now. So we're trying to help them organize their days, figuring out when to lift, when to do their schoolwork, when to hit, when to run, when to throw, all that stuff. And it took a couple of weeks for us to kind of let those guys settle into being back at home with their parents and going to online courses. But in the last couple of weeks, we've been able to get a consistent schedule together with these Zoom meetings. This past week, we had 5 Zoom meetings for our team. The first one was a compliance meeting run by our NCAA compliance director at Seton Hill. There's so many questions going around college baseball. That's a separate call, but we needed to explain to our guys that what their options are, because they all now have 5 years to play 4 seasons, and that affects their credits, their financial aid, like all that stuff. So we had a compliance meeting for that. On, I believe it was Wednesday, we had a hitting hot stove, which was an awesome session on Zoom. It was about an hour and 15 minutes. Our assistant coach, Tyler Sullivan, and our other assistant coach, Mike Hauk, they put together a big PowerPoint with a lot of drills. One thing that we have to be aware of now is our guys don't have the same resources at home than they did at school. No pitching machines. Some of them don't have cages. So we had to get a little bit creative about what type of hitting drills they can and should be doing. On Thursday, we had a strength and conditioning Zoom call with our entire team. We brought in a guy by the name of Frank Velasquez. And Frank's been a friend of our program, so he did an awesome job. He gave us a bunch of information on what our guys could be doing right now if they don't have squat racks and dumbbells. Some really good ideas on sprint work and at-home workouts. And then yesterday was our last Zoom call of the day, of the week, and it was our alumni connection call. So what we've done is every 1 or 2 times a week, we have different alumni come on Zoom and speak to our team about their different careers. Yesterday was sales and entrepreneurship. Next week, we have a bunch of our guys that are in law as police officers and lawyers. They're going to speak to our team. We want to use this downtime to prepare them not just for the next season of baseball, but for the next chapter.
Right. Yeah.
Like you said, you got to take it within yourself, where in this sport especially, the most you're going to grow is in isolation, doing T-work on your own in the gym by yourself. That's how you're really going to own to your routine and really grow as yourself, because you're not always going to have those pitching machines, someone to throw to you. So I think that's great that you're keeping the guys involved and finding a way to help them grow. My next question here is going to be more about kind of the recruiting process, where I want the viewers to hear from a coach's side of what a college coach is looking for. Is those little things of hustling on and off the field, throwing a helmet once they get out, little things like that. Do you take that into consideration, and kind of what are you looking for when you go see a high school player at their high school game or in a summer travel ball type game?
We want to check a few boxes off in a particular order. So I think for us, there's sort of a 1A, 1B, and 1C, like 3 things that everybody has to have. And number 1 is athleticism. Along with that athleticism, you're going to see some talent. And then the third part of that 3-prong requirement is the academics. A lot of times we'll see a great player, but academically he may not be a good fit for us at Seton Hill. If those boxes check, then we're going to move on to finding out the character of that player. You know, we can see him play or watch his video, but we need to talk to him on the phone. We got to find out a little bit more, talking to his high school coach or his guys that he takes lessons from. What type of work ethic does this kid have? How does he treat his teammates? Is winning important? Is he selfish or selfless? Like, all those things are important too. And then the last piece of it is competitiveness. You know, he might have all the talent in the world, but he's got to know how to compete. We want to see, can guys consistently compete, even though it might be just a weekend tournament. And part of that competition for me is I wanted to see if he can compete in different sports. There's obviously a trend now where you can train year-round for baseball with facilities like you guys have. It's awesome. Guys can hone their skills through the winter months. But I want to see guys that play football. I want to see guys that wrestle, play basketball. If a guy plays quarterback, you know he's got some good leadership skills. You know he's a good communicator. He can probably take a hit, right?
Yep.
So I really like, you know, if we can check some of those early boxes, we get down to competitiveness. I tend to gravitate towards those multi-sport guys.
What kind of advice for young players specifically during this time? Like, we're quarantined up. These kids don't have much to do. A lot of kids we work with that'll be watching this are between maybe 11 and 13. You know, I know that you guys do your calls and talk about life, but these kids don't really have the responsibilities of life yet. They're kind of, you know, under their parents' wings, and they just want to focus on maybe playing their video games and talking to their friends. But if they want to continue within baseball, you know, and staying active and fit and baseball ready, what can you tell them basically for right now while they're stuck at home?
A little bit what we just touched on, go out and play everything. Like, even though these young kids are sitting at home looking forward to baseball season, get out and shoot hoops, go play some street hockey,
Right.
You know, play some ultimate frisbee, like, just get outside and do everything. If you have a wall and you got a baseball, you can get better. Like, be creative, come up with a new game outside.
Absolutely. I think it's, like you said, those little games like rundown, little things you can do, help your game in the long run. Because I remember when I was probably 7, 8 years old, I would go in my dining room, give my dad a tennis ball, run from my dining room to my living room and just say, toss it up because I want to dive in. And then when I got into a game from ages 12 and up, it was just natural instinct of, I had little reps of me having fun in my living room, getting brush burns on my knees, but I was practicing diving and catching that tennis ball. And then I got in the game, and I swear to this day, that's what helped me as an outfielder, as an infielder, being able to attack a ball and just throw your body at it without thinking about it. So those little things like that you can do while having fun, while in your home, can grow your game more than you think it can.
All the broken vases will be worth it in the long run.
Yeah. When you can create an environment like that where you can maybe remove a little bit of the fear, like diving onto the couch or something, that's awesome. That's invaluable.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you hopping on. Thank you for joining us and talking.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mark.
My pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Viewers and listeners, follow Seton Hill, follow Mark, great coach, great baseball mind, who truly built a program from the ground up and has had tremendous success with that collegiate program. And I look forward to playing you guys when I was at Cal U, and I look forward to following you guys through your journey and through Seton Hill's journey going forward.